Greetings, everybody. Pencer here yet again with another black and white pen and ink tutorial, I guess. I don't really know what to label this, but I just know that I received several inquiries about my typical inking process and what kind of things I usually take in consideration. So, kind of long answer to that question if you've been interested in that. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, one of the first things I like to figure out is what the light source is. I'll typically do that already during the penciling phase by doing a little doodle about a lamp, and then I will move on to finalizing what art material or materials I'm gonna need. Who have been following me for a couple of years or longer might remember that I was using Sakura microns at one point, but due to some issues having happened, I kind of prefer to boycott everything that comes from Japan for the time being, so I switched over to the German manufacturer Stadler with their pigment liners. They come in different thicknesses just like microns do, and in this case I'm choosing a 0.3 for the heavy contour and 0.1 for the cross hatching, which I'll explain about more in a little bit then. So, I'm gonna start with the head and slowly moving towards I would slowly be moving towards the toes if this character had any, but since she doesn't, I'll just kinda go wherever it stops. So yeah, and by the way, what I'm working on is a birthday gift for a friend of mine, who's going to be celebrating her birthday today, actually, and as of the recording of this, I'm gonna pull up at the party in a couple of hours, and she probably has no idea that I'm doing this. She might be expecting some kind of a gift, but certainly not a custom piece of art. So in that sense, it's been an interesting day to put it lightly. So what I like to take in consideration is that I'll typically put a slightly heavier line weight where there's gonna be some shadow, and then I'll kind of contrast it with the ever so thin line weight at where the light will hit. Just like a little itsy bit of indication that there's some form without going into too much detail where the light hits. Because if you diligently study photographs, particularly the part of like, for example, the light hits, you're not actually gonna see that much form being represented. There's ever so subtle, and usually on the exact opposite side of the face or the figure or the object or whatever, there's gonna be a significantly darker and I guess like kind of heavier line, so to speak. Although in real photographs there are obviously no lines, but hopefully you know what I mean. So I am now. Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me what order the inking goes. It's just custom of what I usually like to do. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, and then for areas like the eyelids, I usually like to go with a slightly lighter line weight. Only because, again, the light is hitting right around here where the tip of my pen is right now. And also because personally I feel like eyelids don't need this. To me, the pupil and the general iris area is a little bit what makes a huge part of the expression itself. So yes, and also a lot of times with like small hairs like this, I'll just opt for doing this really choppy lines. Actually, this is being a little bit dry, so let me pull out the O3 again. So yeah, with the layers of these little hair strands, because she has this like short faded kind of look on the side of her head, so I'll indicate that by sort of making layers of little small hairs that become increasingly thicker as we go to the left in this case. Yeah, that should do about it. And moving on to the nose. Yeah, I feel like y'all are getting the general gist of this, so at this point I'm gonna fast forward through the rest of her contour, and then I'm gonna be back with some advice about cross hatching. Okay, in a few. Okay, so I know that there's more material to ink here, but for now I kind of want to save the skulls till later, for the sake of showing you guys the sort of main star of this video, which is going to be the cross contour hatching. So cross hatching, or if you want to be fancy about it, like cross contour hatching is this shading technique in drawing with pencil and ink that utilizes multiple layers of usually thin lines, and when you layer those on top of each other, it'll create an effect of a primary shadow and a secondary shadow that'll transition from light to dark and vice versa, in what I find a really soothing way. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of indicating with the pencil where I want each layer of the cross hatching to go, because that just makes it easier. Usually I make 2 or 3 layers. Sometimes I'll even go as crazy as to make like 10 plus layers, but we're not gonna do all of that today. So another thing you want to take in consideration with the cross hatching technique is that you want to imagine what kind of form there is for your object that you're inking, I'm calling this an object despite it being a human, because for now I want you to think about her forehead as kind of almost like an oblong shape, and her cheeks and her jaw, her chin, etc. as another bunch of oblong shapes, because they're round. They have kind of a round form to them, as opposed to being like completely solid. And you want to make sure the ink lines or the hatch lines follow the form of the object, in this case, as much as you can. So basically you would imagine like painting a marble completely black with ink or paint or whatever, and you would kind of slide that marble across the surface of whatever you're inking, and whatever shape the kind of smear ends up being after the marble is done rolling, that would inform what direction your contour lines or your hatch lines go. So as I'm demonstrating here, you want to make them go according to the surface of the face. Alright, and yeah, the nose is not going to be any different. That also has a little sphere. Excuse my pronunciation, but I'm talking about that ball-shaped sphere. Yeah, the tip of the nose will typically have a sphere shape to it, which you want to mimic whenever you ink a nose as well. This is where the word cross and cross contour hatching comes in. You can keep the direction of the lines the same and just kind of have it stop right before the first layer stops, like that would be somewhere around here, but I like to cross them to kind of emphasize that I am making another layer of shadow as opposed to just kind of darkening the first layer. This is my preference. I'll show you the alternative method in a little bit, but hopefully you see already how like the light is slowly tapering towards a darker value, and in this case I'm gonna make just one more layer that I am going to make roughly the same direction as the first layer, as so. Yeah, oops. Yeah, so the end result should look, or can look, there's no mandate of how to do it in art, but it can look like this. And as a bonus, what I'll do a lot of times is make a sort of fourth layer that'll suggest and shadow being casted by an object, in this case her mouth and her lips. Yeah, and there you have it. And if you want, you can put like a little something inside of the ear, and a lot of times I'll put a little something to suggest the shape of the head, right on where the body starts. And again, as you may have guessed it, we're not going to be satisfied with just one layer. We're going to make another one. Another layer. Uno más. Yeah, bien. Right. Yeah, so I hope that's helpful for some of y'all who are also into drawing with pen and ink. Yeah, so I will once again or hold on, no, not yet. I'll just really quickly show you how that same thing can be done on hair. So again, we'll just do a sort of base layer of hatching to again follow the form of the object, in this case the hair. The last two strands I'll leave completely white because that's where the light is gonna hit, and just go back slowly. Let's do 2 strokes at a time. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that should do. Yeah. So there you have it, folks. We're about done with this quick demonstration for now. Yeah, as promised, I'll finish this for y'all real quick in fast motion, and then we'll be out. Thanks again for watching. studio assistant for today. Yeah. She insists on helping.